What's going on, everyone? Chris here with Clutter Reduction Junk Removal, and we are getting ready to head to a storage unit to clean out a 5x5 unit for somebody who found me through Google. He said he read through my reviews, checked out my website, that I was very professional, I had great ratings, and he went ahead and went with me, even though he had somebody that was a little cheaper. He said he stuck with me, and then after that, he found no other quotes. So it's a 5x5 unit. He says it's pretty packed, so I gave him a pretty broad range for an estimate, because obviously a packed, even though just a 5x5, a packed one could still take up a little bit of room, especially if there's like a cage top or if it just goes up. So that's what we're doing in a little bit. We're just going to eat lunch really quick and then head out there. Wanted to go over a topic that I even just had happen recently, actually I had it happen today, and that had happened yesterday coincidentally, and that is customers wanting you to price match other quotes. That's a tricky situation. So I'm going to give my 2 cents on the subject because I feel like I've dealt with that quite a bit in the past. I've definitely have done jobs where it probably wasn't the most profitable for me, but it was because it was stuff that I needed to have in order to make a living at the moment. And I think that's what people forget is when you are desperate for money, you will do any job you can to make that money, or you're going to end up in more tough spots. So speaking from experience and trying not to sugarcoat anything, I'm going to go ahead and talk about a couple of situations and my recommendations based on experience. So, customer calls and says, hey, I have this pile of junk in my garage, sends you a picture, how much will you quote me? And you let them know, let's say you say $300. And they're like, all right, let me talk to my wife about it. And they call back and say, I got a guy who is willing to do it for $100 less. Is that something you can match? Now, I think there's two situations here we need to account for. One, are you busy? If you're not busy and you're hurting for money, $100 is a big difference, but if you need the money and you know how to be frugal in the moment to where you're not going to be paying out of pocket just to take this job, it may be good for you to grab it. On top of that, you also increase your chances of getting a good review, a repeat client, and a referral. So it's not just a total loss. If you have some flow coming in and you're doing some jobs here and there and you're comfortable, I would probably say don't do it, because it's just going to make it look like it's easy to take advantage of you as a business, and that's not a habit you want to get used to. So in my experience, when I needed the money, like I was just slow. I had no calls, no jobs, nothing going on for days, weeks. I picked some jobs that right now I would laugh at and just say, no, good luck with that person. I'm not even touching it. I don't even want to entertain this conversation anymore. But back then, I needed money. I had business bills, I had my own bills. I needed to get money somehow. Even if it's not a lot, I would be willing to take a pay cut if it means that the business got a little bit of money to help pay for bills so I didn't get into any trouble, because I can always go out and make money on my own. My business can only make money one way. So that's where things got a little tricky. So I completely understand the desperateness of wanting to go make money, even if it's not the most advantageous for you. So in my opinion, if you really need it, and it falls under these three categories, then take it. Those three categories are, number one, is it realistic? Are you going to give a job for construction debris, for example? Right off the bat, you already know it's going to be messy, it's going to be harder, it's going to cost you more money to dispose of it. Is a customer asking you to drop your price by $25 or $100? It's a big difference. That difference could be your disposal cost. At which point, if you're losing your profit window now, are you going to essentially have to pay out of pocket just to get this job, because you're taking away from your operation expenses? So I don't know how you guys do your payouts, but when I do my pay, every job that comes in, I pay myself 40%, I pay the business 20% for taxes and profit, and then I set aside 40% for operation expenses, whether it's labor pay, disposal, fuel, overhead with bills, stuff like that. So if I'm cutting a job down to price match, I am willing to do up to that 20% because after that, I'm cutting into my own pay, which I don't want to do, or I'm cutting into the operation expenses, which is fine if it's not a real difficult job. If you're just going to pick up maybe some furniture, you could probably donate and save disposal, or maybe it's close by, you're not going to be using a lot of fuel, or maybe it's something you could do yourself. You don't have to worry about paying for labor help, and that 40% that you set aside, maybe you have some cushion there. You may be able to cut into that a little bit, but at what point is it worth it for you to make money? And that's a question that you have to answer. So I look at the realisticness. Is it a big drop, a little drop? And then I look at, is it from a reputable company? Is it from the same field who gave that quote? A handyman who just happens to have a truck and is going by to repair a light could say, yeah, I can take that couch for you. I can throw it on the back of my truck. I'll get rid of it. Charge you $50 cash. That guy just made $50 cash. There's a good chance he's probably going to dump it off on the side of the road too. Really make $50 cash. Or if he goes to the dump, depending on how much your guys' minimum are, it might be a fraction of what he just made. But it's a quick 50 that now he doesn't have to go through his business. It's just side money. So it's always going to be harder for us to compete against people who aren't in our field because they don't look at trash the same way we do. Or if you're competing with another junk removal business, is this a legit company or are they just small guys doing it as a side hustle? They're going to have different overheads. If you're just doing it as a side hustle, you probably don't need insurance. You probably don't need a business license. You don't need to worry about workers' comp. You don't have to worry about doing advertising and marketing. You're probably just doing everything free and organic. And you don't have all those extra bills every month to pay for. So it's easier for you to charge less and then you basically beat out everyone else. So it's one of those difficult situations with junk removal where it's easy for people to outbid us. But don't worry, we have our perks too. And then the last thing is going back to the operation expenses and profit and self-pay. Is it just the profit you're losing or are you cutting into those numbers? Because at the end of the day, unless you're willing to lose money on your end, you don't want to be put in a situation where you almost have to pay just to get that client. So what I would recommend is, number one, if they're asking for price matching, just assume they're on a budget. All right. So number one, I would offer your most used discount. So let's say you give a 10% discount for repeat clients, veterans, and seniors. Right. Pretty broad number, very common. If they say, will you drop $100? Say, I can't do 100. What I could do is I can offer you our 10% discount. That's the best I could do. So at least on their end, maybe they're bullshitting this quote and they just want something cheaper. They might say, okay, I'll do the 10%. And you don't even have to question why they didn't want to go $100 cheaper. But at least that way you're still securing the job, but you're giving a discount that's not abnormal for you. And then the second thing you could do is offer it to price match, but maybe only remove the larger items or whatever is close to their budget. So maybe not take everything, but you take the stuff that they likely can't handle and or can't dispose of themselves. So you're kind of meeting in the middle without being in the middle cash-wise. And then the third thing is to meet in the middle. So if they say, if you charge $200 and they say we do it for $125, you say, I can't do $125, what about like $160, right? Because it still has to be profitable for you in the long run. So it's a tough situation. It's a little tricky. Everyone's going to have their different opinions. You're going to have guys that say, screw that. The moment you drop down, they're going to know that they can keep going. I say, if you need the money, you need the money. But know to not do it all the time and know your limits and try to figure out when it's a real situation and when they're just trying to bargain with you. So that's my opinion on the subject. But we're going to head to the storage unit and I'll see you guys there. All right, that job is complete. There's something a little new today. We had to drill out a lock on the storage unit. The key that they had wasn't working and the manager was here and she's like, I could call my person to come in and drill it for you, but they may not be here for a couple of hours. And I was like, well, I got drill bits and I've never drilled a storage unit lock before. So I had to play around with it for like at least 20 minutes because the drill bits I bring with me for junk removal for standard stuff doesn't really exceed a quarter inch. So we had to play around with it. Eventually we got it though. He gave me an extra 50 bucks for having to do all that. And then the junk removal for a 5x5 storage unit, which was pretty packed, ended up being a little under 3/4 of a truck. So I charged him as 3/4 of a truck and then knocked off, I think it was like 30 bucks. So kind of put him like in the middle mark of 5/8 and 3/4. So we're going to head home now and sort through some of the stuff to see if there's anything worth trying to sell, because I think we're going to have another garage sale soon, and see if there's anything worthwhile to try to donate. And then we'll get rid of the rest and take it from there. So he's a realtor. He did find me on Google. He confirmed with me for because of my reviews, and the whole time he was saying that my reviews don't lie. So that's always nice to hear. Hopefully he leaves one as well. But we're gonna go ahead and get out of here and hope we can catch the sunny weather before it starts pouring out again. So comment down below what you think about my little rant when it comes to price matching. Do you think it's a waste of time? Do you think it calls for certain situations? Let me know your thoughts. I will see you guys later on in the week. Thanks for watching. Bye. Alright, that job is complete. Did something a little new today. We had to drill out a lock on the storage unit. The key that they had wasn't working, and the manager was here, and she's like, I could call my person to come in and drill it for you, but they may not be here for a couple of hours. And I was like, well, I got drill bits, and I've never drilled a storage unit lock before, so I had to play around with it for like at least 20 minutes because the drill bits I bring with me for junk removal for standard stuff doesn't really exceed a quarter inch. So we had to play around with it. Eventually we got it though. He gave me an extra 50 bucks for having to do all that. And then the junk removal for a 5x5 storage unit, which was pretty packed, ended up being a little under 3/4 of a truck. So I charged him as 3/4 of a truck and then knocked off, I think it was like 30 bucks. So kind of put him like in the middle mark of 5/8 and 3/4. So we're going to head home now and sort through some of the stuff to see if there's anything worth trying to sell, because I think we're going to have another garage sale soon, and see if there's anything worthwhile to try to donate. And then we'll get rid of the rest and take it from there. So he's a realtor. He did find me on Google. He confirmed with me for because of my reviews, and the whole time he was saying that my reviews don't lie. So that's always nice to hear. Hopefully he leaves one as well. But we're gonna go ahead and get out of here and hope we can catch the sunny weather before it starts pouring out again. So comment down below what you think about my little rant when it comes to price matching. Do you think it's a waste of time? Do you think it calls for certain situations? Let me know your thoughts. I will see you guys later on in the week. Thanks for watching. Bye. So just wanted to throw in a little update there while I was editing the video and kind of seeing everything being talked about a couple of days later when it's not fresh in my mind anymore because it was a topic of the day, and I like to just do things as they come. I am not saying that it's okay to do that, if ever, but I am saying that I acknowledge the fact that sometimes you're in a desperate situation and you need money to come in, and if it's something that realistically you're not going to be just breaking even or even going into negatives per se, you know, it's kind of your call if it's worth it. It really just comes down to that. If you're going to go do a job that looks like it's going to suck and it's probably going to take you a couple of hours and you're doing it for like $150 less than what you normally would, you know, if you're okay with that $150 loss just to secure something, whether it's more mental just to see money coming in, then, you know, if you think it's worth it, take it. That was kind of what I was trying to get at. I've done jobs in the past where, especially when I was part-time, like it wasn't as big of a deal because obviously I was doing the moving, so like I had money coming in other ways. But for me, like I remember at one point my first year, I didn't have a job at all in February. In January was my first year open. I think I had like 7 or 8 jobs working like just weekends. February I had nothing. I don't even think I got a phone call for February. And I was fine because I was doing a lot of outstate moving. So like I made money to supplement myself. And I think I was even like I think I was still investing in the business as like startup costs at this point, but I had nothing in February. And I remember it making me really nervous. I was like, crap, was this a wrong idea? Like, is this business thing gonna work out? Like, I'm kind of screwed here. Luckily, I had the U-Hauls at the time, so I wasn't putting a lot of money into insurance and, commercial and all that stuff. But that was like a fear I had. So when March came around, I think it was like March 2nd or March 3rd, I remember someone calling me and asking me, and like keep in mind, my prices were like a decent amount cheaper than they were now because I was like so small at the time and like my overhead was just so low. I just didn't feel like it was necessary for me to charge a lot. But I remember our job coming in, it was to pick up two couches and two love seats out of a third floor apartment. And like, for me to bring that out, okay, just slap it on a dolly. I do that every day as a mover. So like it wasn't so much like the job was like difficult, but I knew it was like, I would always rent like 15-foot U-Hauls. Like it's gonna take up like maybe a quarter, 3/8 of a 15-foot U-Haul if I'm able to stand it up. If not, I have to lay it down. It's gonna take up half the truck, and then the cost to get the U-Haul and all that. And I think I had told her at the time it would be around like between 200 and 250 for basically four couches. It's a pretty good deal. And she was like, "Oh, like our maintenance guy would do it for us. I think it was like for 180 or something." And I was like, "All right, I'll do it for one. Like I'll match it, basically." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, great." And like looking back at it, I think she was just throwing out a number and trying not to come off as like just super lowballing me. But I remember doing it for 180. Like the U-Haul cost me like it's like $50 after like fuel and everything. And then I think disposal was like between 15 and $20. So like at the end of the day, I made technically like 110 dollars on the job. But for me at the time, given that my monthly bills I think were $242 a month until I got like my truck and trailer. 242. That's not bad a month for bills. So like for me at the time, it was like okay, what was that, $50 a week in bills, and then like I was just paying myself like basically just hourly, or like I would just pull from like my profit and just do member draws and just pull out like whatever I needed. And honestly, for the first 6 months, I think I only paid myself twice. um, didn't have the best pay structure when I started. So like for me to take a job that was 70, $80 cheaper than what I would have charged, or 100 cheaper, whatever. Let's just call it $100 cheaper would be stupid now because I'd be cutting so far into all of my, profits and my bills and overhead and stuff like that. But back then, like it was okay because I had the wiggle room and the cushion to pay for it, and I just wanted work. Like having nothing for February scared the shit out of me just starting a business. So I just wanted something to come in. It wasn't until like the end of March it started picking up a little bit. And I think like May and June were pretty decent. But that is just what I meant by like if you need the money, whether it's a mental thing or it's a physical, like you just need money coming to pay bills. Obviously, unless you're putting money in yourself to your business, if your business only focuses on one aspect of service, then you only have one way to make money with it. We can go out and do whatever we want. You can go mow lawns for $20 a lawn. You can go wash cars. You can go pressure clean. You can go help somebody move. You can go do whatever you want. You can go work for somebody else part time, as like a 1099 employee. You can do whatever you want to make money. But if your business doesn't have a way to make money and you don't pay your bills and you don't pay your credit cards, you're going to get into trouble one way or another. So I just say it as if you're in that situation, price matching I think gets shit on a lot. Excuse my cursing, it's late. But it gets shit on a lot and it's really frowned upon. But I think from like a realistic point of view, if you need to make the money, go make the money. That's all I wanted to say. By the way, we had a garage out today. We got to clear about half the volume I wanted to clear. I was trying to clean out my whole garage. Cleared out about half of it, made like $300. So not too shabby. But that's it for me. My June, truthfully, is not going as well as I thought it would compared to last year, and just expecting business to just boom. I was really hoping like May was decent. But I was really hoping June and hopefully July and August is just going to be slammed like it was last year because I had goals that I wanted to achieve so that I could purchase a new trailer and do all these things. And right now it's not looking like that's going to happen in time. So Monday, or not Monday, Tuesday, we're going to go do a haluva amount of marketing all day, everywhere. So I'll take you guys along with me on that. Monday, we're going to be removing a very large metal salad bar out of a cafeteria in a school through a catering company I know. It's going to be a beast, I think, to get on the trailer, and then we're just going to go scrap it right away. And then Wednesday, I have a double booking I kind of screwed up, so I'm hoping that I can separate it just enough I can get the job done, and I'm going to have to hustle with that. But you guys will see why. But that is it for me. Hope everyone is staying busier than I am, and hope everyone is overall doing pretty well for summer. But I will see you guys next time.